Hey guys, and welcome back to the GSTL. It's our Saturday session, it's the early session, and we have two teams that have historically done really well in the GSTL battling it out today. It's FXO against MVP.
FXO versus MVP, both of them lost their opening match in the first round. Now we're in the second round. FXO lost the Incredible Miracle with a 2-4, and we had MVP losing to Axiom Acer, who were once again successful yesterday, this time against LGIM. It was a really intense match that they had. It was very interesting to see those games, especially, of course, the performance of Scarlet and Ryung.
Yeah, it was really a great story. Yeah. And Axiom Acer is just lighting it up right now. Every time I see them, their results are surprising. It's like when you look at them, you think one thing, but something else happens.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story. And we were, yesterday, for example, a little bit surprised to see Crank coming out against Terran. And meanwhile, I talked to Total Biscuit a little bit about it. I talked to Scarlet about it. And apparently, Crank, when he was playing in the UK, he was really upset with his performance. He was quite angry that he lost against so many Terran players in particular. So when he came back to Korea, he practiced the entire time. And he dedicated all his time to preparing for the matches yesterday. And it really showed. He was able to take the win, and therefore we have them now with 2 victories already out of 2 matches.
Yeah, I mean, Axiom Acer is a team that has such a small roster compared to everybody else, but at the same time, they're still able to pull it off, even though they're somewhat predictable with which players are going to send out. This is not Ryung instead of MMA, for example, at the end. Ryung comes through for his team. It was a great story. Obviously, we're shifting gears a little bit today going into this different team match, but if we see something like we saw yesterday, I'm happy with it.
Exactly, and the FXO is actually the next opponent of Axiom Acer, so they will have a close look at this team match today. Here you have, once again, the results of yesterday. Scarlet starting things off with a win against MVP. A build that Ryung told her to use against MVP won her the game. Very well played by the Canadian player. And of course, in the second game, Yoda then stepped it up for his team, took 2 wins. Was a very exciting team match yesterday. I really enjoyed those games.
It all came down to the final match. Ryung was able to patiently win over MC's more aggressive Oracle strategy, and he just was able to mass up a force and hit MC at a great timing. Here are our standings currently. Axiom Acer, with that win yesterday, takes first place with a +2 indicator with 2 wins, no losses. When StarTale plays and Prime again, of course, they'll have the opportunity to take that spot as well. FXOpen and MVP are playing their 5th and 6th currently.
Yeah, you can really see that FXOpen can't be happy with their performance in the first match. They played against a very strong team, but they are now at -2 points. They have 2 warnings already, so they want to win this today. Of course, even if they lose today, it's not the end of the season or anything like it. This is still a round-robin system with the standings, but at the same time, if you're suddenly 0-2 at the beginning of a season, this is always putting you in a very weird position where it's definitely hard to come back.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the race distribution here. You can see FXOpen actually very Terran heavy these days, whereas MVP still has a very evenly distributed roster. That's something they've always had. MVP and StarTale, basically the most balanced roster, I think, in the entire team league. There's 4 Zergs, 5 Rosses, and 4 Terrans, and you can see that both teams have 2 players in Codas, and then everything else is kind of broken up.
You already talked a bit about the Terrans, and a Terran versus Terran is also our opening match today. For FXO, the starting player is going to be Gumio, whereas Dream is going to be the starter for Team MVP.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about that to me is that when you look at the 2 players, Gumio is much more accomplished. It's like the FXO sent out a stronger, heavy-hitting player, but Dream in the past has shown that he either has a good day or a bad day. If he's on, he's really on, but if he's off, sometimes his results can be disappointing.
Dream is doing really well. I mean, one of the games that, of course, immediately comes to mind is when he won against Rain in Code A against Protoss. He's doing really well these days. And here you have the lineup for Team MVP. Swagger, Donregu. This is going to be such an interesting match today. MVP with a huge roster that they can pick from.
Yeah, even the new face Bong down there is on the roster. There's Noblesse, the Chipmunk Terran.
Chipmunk Terran and Team MVP, they still make fun of the new nickname of Killer.
Just look at how many players you have in this roster. You have DRG, you have Sniper, of course, sitting in the corner patiently over there. He may come out. I would not be surprised.
Oh yeah, I would love to see him today. This would definitely be a good match. One of the players that we want to see for Team FXO is, of course, Lenok, but here you have the full roster of the team.
Don't forget, SC is now part of the team. He rejoined after his League of Legends experiment. I guess that didn't go so well for him. He's back here.
It's actually interesting that this didn't go too well for quite a lot of players. Puzzle and also Coca are back to playing StarCraft 2 now. So their League of Legends adventure did not work as well as they thought it would.
Yeah.
Not really the game that they are happy with.
They've come back to the right place.
I feel so too.
And look at that new FXOpen logo. I like it a lot. They've switched their jerseys quite a bit, and the black one looks so nice on these players.
Lenok being here, of course, one of the players that everyone wants to see today. I'm excited to see him now in Heart of the Swarm once again. He, of course, was also playing at MLG, but back then he didn't get too many wins. He would definitely want to show his skills now in the Team League. I would love to see him today. Yeah, a few fans at the studio. This is a pretty early session today.
You know, this match is iconic, I feel, because FXOpen is a team that is known for their GSTL prowess, and they're behind. They need a win here. And for MVP, obviously, they always do pretty good in GSTL, but they usually just can't quite clinch it. And for both teams, they're 0-1. So whoever loses this match becomes 0-2 and will take one of the last place slots. So it's really important to not lose today.
Yeah. Shoya looking good here, and there's the bell. The teams entering the arena. Keen. We have the Chipmunk Terran, we have Noblesse, of course a really strong opponent to face, but the leading player here for Team FXO is Gumiho, the Towel Terran, a guy who has taken down many opponents in the past, all killed several times too.
Yep. And there's Dream himself on the edge. What's so cool about how GSTL is formed in the season is that it's a round-robin system. So even if either one of these players loses, it doesn't mean they're out necessarily, since we're so young in the Team League, we're so early in. But you don't want to have that last place spot for your team morale.
Yeah, not at all. By the way, guys, if you didn't catch yesterday's games, you are in for a treat today. We have a new user interface. It's different from the Code S interface from the individual league. We have one that allows us also to zoom out a little bit, and it is just so amazing to see, especially a Zerg, a race who really relies on flanks, and if you suddenly have a better perspective on the entire match and you can see more, you see how everything comes together, the entire plan. So we'll definitely see that today too. The new interface is really blowing me away. Once again,
awesome.
The big shout out to GameHeart here.
Yeah, GameHeart really changing the game and making it a better viewer experience for everybody. And that's something that is going to improve. We've gotten a ton of feedback on Twitter from people who say they like this thing or they don't like this thing necessarily, and of course we're going to share all of the information with Golem, who's watching, what you guys have to say about it as well.
You made a really good point yesterday when you said that this is only the beginning. We will have a lot of changes to the UIs. Blizzard is trying to publish several UIs. They're working on them as we speak, and it is really amazing to see what you can do now in Heart of the Swarm. And this just shows, this is the one thing that I really love about Blizzard the most. Those guys have been in esports for a long time. I personally think that without them we wouldn't even have esports today.
I absolutely agree, man.
And it just shows that they really care. They thought about, okay, we have Wings of Liberty, it's an amazing game, but it's 2 years old right now. What can we do to not only improve the single player and give a good experience for the casuals, but what might be changes that we can roll out that will make it better for all the esports audience out there? And they definitely succeeded.
They have put so much money into esports, and they've also spent so much time, like you said, changing and improving the game. When it came to StarCraft 1, there were so many patches. Warcraft 3 is balance patches, and then you go into StarCraft 2, we have a lot of balance changes. They're constantly watching, but also like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could make a UI that is changeable so any company who's broadcasting it can change it in a way that suits them the best? And now they've developed that, so any company like GOMTV, MLG, DreamHack, ESL, I mean, I could list all the companies, I'm not going to do that, it'll take too long, but they can now do whatever they want with the UI. They can change it and make it theirs. And Blizzard just says, yeah, it's open to you. Change it how you like it.
We talked a lot to the guys who are responsible for the interface in the Battle.net and who worked on just improving everything. And we just also suggested a few additional changes. And we talked to them a lot, and they said, guys, we have such a huge backlog and we are happy for the input, but we have so many things to do right now, and it's just exciting to see that they accept that this is a process. This is not something that is just done at some point. It will always just evolve even further, and I cannot wait for example, for Legacy of the Void, where we will see so many additional features. So this is just awesome to see how much time and effort they dedicate to this. But now coming back to our team here.
Dream is a starting Terran, and his drop play and his multitasking is insane. But I feel the problem with Dream is that he's either insanely on or he's off. He's kind of hit and miss, and for him to be the starting player is really unique. It shows that he's improved a lot in Heart of the Swarm, and the MVP coach is relying on him. He's up against Gumiho, the Towel Terran, the Nine-Tailed Fox here, and this is not going to be an easy opponent. In fact, I would be surprised if we saw Dream just try to play a straight-up game against him, because Gumiho is the master of late games, is the master of comebacks.
You know, the one thing that we have seen so many times right now already in Terran versus Terran in Heart of the Swarm is that a lot of players try to put out these very technical builds. We've seen this several times. You can do so much right now with the options that you have, ranging from Hellbats, going into Widow Mines, and just trying to go for a different one-base play. Heart of the Swarm isn't figured out yet. We're getting there, and you can really see that, especially on the MVP bench, there are so many players who try to innovate new builds.
Yeah, it's very true. We've seen all sorts of technical Hellbat drops. We've seen Oracle play. And the starting map is so interesting because it's Icarus. Usually you have this map used in a Terran pick versus Zerg, but now we have it as the starting map, so there's going to be those extra gold patches. And this could give Dream the ability to use a timing attack that could catch Gumiho off guard. It's such an interesting starting map because this map has so many different unique builds because of the gold base and the rich gas that's back there. So both players have had a long time to think about this map and think about specific builders they might want to use with those extra minerals.
That's completely true. We might see a build that really tries to take advantage of this. Going into the game right now, I actually just want to see who is going to take the lead today. Gumiho is, of course, one of those hard hitters that we have in the roster of Team FXO. Everything usually builds up to Leenock entering the stage, but if Gumiho would actually lose the first game here, that would already be such a huge blow to Team FXO, even though they have a lot of players that have not been this present in Wings of Liberty but are really strong in Heart of the Swarm. It would be definitely damaging for the morale.
Yeah, you know, basically Leenock's second-hand man is Gumiho. Oftentimes he comes out third. We're going to start, though. The map is Icarus, Terran versus Terran, Dream versus Gumiho here at GSTL 2013, sponsored by BenQ. I am Wolf, with me is Cowler. Let's go into game number 1.
Starting to the top left of the map, we have our Terran player in red. Starting player here for Team MVP it is
MVP Dream.
Dream wants to be Gumiho's nightmare.
Dream has the opening player for Team MVP, of course. He's facing a fellow Terran player. Starting to the bottom right of the map in blue for Team FXO it is
FXO Gumiho.
The Towel Terran, the Nine-Tailed Fox. And I love that Game Heart. I don't know what to call it. Overlay, team logo. FXOpen one looks really nice.
Well, guys, if you are looking at this for the first time and you see the interface here, this is not actually one of those UI interfaces that you can use with Heart of the Swarm right now. This is actually more of a custom map. So you can go to the arcade, you can search for Game Heart, and then you can play on those maps as well. And as we already thought of, we have a very aggressive strategy, but not by Dream. It's actually Gumiho.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to do the Reaper build that is at 8, 8, and 8 with the 8 supply depot and the barracks and the refinery all just as soon as possible. And I expected this from Dream, in fact. Excuse me. This map has the extra gold base at the back. And that's why most players will go for a command center first. So Gumiho has looked at this and said, okay, I think Dream is going to go for a command center first. I'm going to go for a Reaper build that may kill him outright. And Dream has chosen the build that most people use on this map in every matchup. CC first. He's in trouble.
Yeah, he's definitely in trouble. One of the things that you can also do if you realize what's going on, you can build a second barracks and just go for double Reaper production. With the barracks first, this is nearly impossible to hold. This is a style that Polt, for example, will use in a lot of his games, going into a second barracks as soon as he spots a command center first and just go for double Reaper, which is so strong. But whatever Gumiho decides to do, this is a great opening for him that gives him an edge.
And if he can delay this barracks here just even a little bit with his SCV, it can change everything. He has the SCV here, and he will protect it with his first Reaper. He's going to continue to rally Reapers out. If he gets a bunker up in Dream's main, the game ends. So Dream has to be extremely careful. He's going to have to pull his SCVs as soon as he sees this Reaper, and then micro until his Marines come out. His 2 barracks are on the way, and now the Reaper's been scouted. This is a very quick Reaper.
Yep, a very quick Reaper. The barracks are not even done just yet. This is all about micro at this point.
He has to make sure that he first of all defends the Reaper, but also continues to produce his barracks.
Yeah. And here we go. The second Reaper is soon to be done, and this is going to be the crucial point. Can he do the damage? And this is already a lot of mining time lost, as you can see. But Gumiho, he had to sacrifice resources to get the barracks out this early, so he's just trying to catch up now and then get an advantage in economy.
Yeah, you're so right. And defending the first Reaper is such a challenge, and you eventually feel like, all right, my barracks is done, I've got this. And then the second Reaper comes in, and you're like, uh-oh, this is twice as big of a problem as I had before. And once the third Reaper gets there, things are going to get even worse. But he has to make sure he keeps those Reapers away from the Marine.
Look how much mining time he loses here. He loses so much mining time, and this is actually atrocious for him. The micro of Gumiho is really good. He loses 1 Reaper regardless, but he saves the second one. He needs to be careful.
He has to be so careful. Losing that first Reaper is a big problem. It really eliminates the ability to continue to pressure here until the second Reaper comes out once more. He has to jump up here. If he loses that second Reaper, the entire pressure that he has is gone. And oh no, he's going to lose one here.
Actually, he's doing quite well, but yes, he's losing one of the Reapers. Let's not forget that at this point, yes, we have 14 to 18 Harvesters, but MVP Dream, he is now soon to be in a possession of 2 orbitals, can rely on the mules. So this game is definitely not over yet, but Gumiho is doing well here.
Yeah, Gumiho did well, and if he had microed just a little bit better, this could have ended the game potentially. And Dream now has not only the 2 orbitals that you talked about, but those gold patches a lot faster, so he gets 7 minerals per chip every time he sends over the gold patch. And Gumiho is going to have a follow-up here with tech. He has the tech advantage as well as factory just now finishing, and he needs to be able to use it to kill further SCVs or end the game. He has to hit some sort of timing, because otherwise Dream is just going to get too big too fast.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I'm really interested to see how he's going to play it out at this point. We have now 21 to 21 Harvesters, so you can see that things are equalizing out a little bit just once again. And I talked a bit about the option that you have of going into a second barracks and then producing the double Reapers, and a style that Polt uses, as mentioned. The one problem that you have with that is that you're committing a lot, and if your opponent is actually able, let's say with a bunker, to hold your aggression off, then you are very, very far behind. So what Gumiho does here is the safer option, not the all-inish version of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Gumiho loses another Reaper on the map, which eliminates his ability to pressure quite significantly. If you have 1 Reaper that goes in the main and harasses it, that's fine. It's not going to do you too much. But if you have 2, it's a lot more scary. And now Gumiho only having the 1 is just going to be able to scout with that a little bit. He has a bunker up at home, and he now has his starport complete. We'll probably see a little bit of Widow Mine aggression. He has a second Widow Mine out now. The medevac will join soon.
What we currently see is here that in economy they basically are about to balance out, but the tech, that is where the difference comes into play, and Gumiho is already the one who is heading into his armory, which could also indicate that we are going to see him with Hellbats.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With the Hellbats unlocked at the armory, he could do so much with that. Just 2 Hellbats in the medevac, if you don't react instantly, can kill an entire mineral line. And here comes that Widow Mine drop I was talking about. He's just going to try to put some pressure on here. If this doesn't work, it's not as big of an investment as, for example, a Cloak Banshee opening. So he's just going to go in here and test the water, see what he can do.
Yep, in overall supply, Dream is a little bit ahead right now, but his unit composition is just worse than the one of Gumiho. If he defends here, he will be ahead. But at this point, those Widow Mines will steal additional mining time, using 1 SCV at the front to just baiting out the shot and putting it into cooldown. With targeting, it could have been a little bit better. And Widow Mine number 2 is already in position at 1, and Widow Mine shot gets off by Dream.
He needs a target, and oh, very nicely done by Dream. He does take some hits there, but it could have been worse.
That was really well done by Gumiho, though. This time he targeted with the Widow Mine, and now he's ahead in Harvesters, just by a small margin, but that already counts. And you can really see that the Hellbat drop is now his next step. Also adding the additional Raven.
Yeah, the next step, the Hellbat drop you talked about, is going to be pretty scary. He saved that medevac just barely with 5 hit points, but we see Gumiho is going into mech. He's adding 2 additional factories here, and with mech in Heart of the Swarm, you want to have those Hellbats because they tank so much damage. They do a lot of damage to Bioforces if they can close the distance.
One thing that is really important if you want to just defend against Medivacs. This is usually what we see as a combination with one Viking and Widowmine, because you need this extra shot. We just saw it when the Widowmine was just barely not able to take down the Medivac, but with the additional Viking you can zone this out so well.
And that barracks that Gumiho has flying around spotted the Medivac, so he should be able to defend against this. Unfortunately for him, though, it's coming at a different angle than he expected, so this Widowmine drop with a few Marines to support could actually be devastating. He's going to be able to delay this depot at the very least, and here comes the Hellbat drop.
Here comes the Hellbat drop. He needs to drop them, though. The Marines are there. The drop is ready. At the same time, we have now the Widowmine nearly taken out at the bottom right, but to the top left, Gumiho is trying to kill now the Harvesters of Dream.
Dream doing a great job targeting down the Medivac instantly. The Viking really helping out here, so he didn't take very many losses there. Meanwhile, Gumiho does defend, but he loses a lot of Harvesters and a lot of mine time as he pulled back to the main base here. Saving the Raven, though, is so huge because now he can detect that Widowmine.
Exactly. The Raven was really important for him here so that he can detect it, that he can take him down. 15 workers killed by Gumiho, 7 by Dream. Still a lead for the FXOpen player in overall supply. Well, actually not in overall supply, but in Harvester supply. So that's where he's really shining. The problem for him really is that Dream decided that it's time to move out and put aggression on Gumiho.
Exactly, and now Dream has this force that he's built up with the barracks. And when you go mech, there's always this delay to where your opponent has the more aggressive mobile force, but if you can get that away with that third base, you get the third base up, or you have the ability to power up those factories, which do cost a lot more than a barracks, for example, you have this strong force that arguably is better than the Bioforce, but until that moment, Dream has a timing here, and he has combat shields and +1. He's going to come through here. He does not, however, have stim just yet. It's about to finish.
Yeah, one of those Hellbats a bit overzealous. And now the rocks are, of course, being attacked. This will open up a new path of attack, path of aggression for Dream that he can use, so he can just bounce between the main entrance and this back door.
He really wants to commit. You can see he's even using stim against destructible debris here. That shows how much he wants to actually commit to this attack. He has 2 siege tanks with him as well. Siege mode, of course, already done by default, and he's going to be able to shell this armory a little bit.
Yeah, on the other hand, really breaking through the defense of Gumiho is going to be a challenge, since there are a lot of siege tanks now, but the drop play, that could change everything.
Absolutely, so he boosts in here, targets down that first siege tank, but the point defense drone is good.
Helping
Gumiho needs to defend that armory.
Helping out against the Marauders, and now we suddenly have all those Marines of the mineral line taking down SCV after SCV.
Yeah, the SCV is falling rapidly here, and now the Hellbat's taking out a few of the Marines, but he boosts away.
Oh, that was a chance to take down one of those siege tanks, but he's a little bit too slow, losing one, nearly 2 of his Medivacs. The second one trying to escape here, and just barely able to get out.
He barely escapes, but the first Medivac fell with all of the units inside, so Dream not able to get away there. And meanwhile, Gumiho goes for a Hellbat drop at the natural.
Uh-oh, Dream a little bit too late to the party. He's losing quite a lot here. Has to pull all the SPs off the mineral line. They are all down to the red, but so far, no damage done. Well, not too much, at least, that is.
Yeah, he could commit here, though.
Oh my God.
With the stack up, he kills so many SCVs. The Medivac does fall to the turret, but he's killing so much more. Terran versus Terran is intense right now.
He's not even done. He's not even done. He's moving in again, and once more, MVP is down in Harvester Supply, 34 against 44, and the next round of drops is soon to be executed, but this time Dream is the one who's trying to put on aggression. Has to back off, though, since there are already Vikings on his tail.
Yeah, this is such an exciting, very aggressive match here. A mule is misplaced, as Legend highlights, but I feel like Gumiho now has the better army composition. He's ahead in supply, and he's moving across. He is going to veto this third base of Dream. He has the power, and he will try to stop it. This drop play, though, is scouted at the last second. Will he be able to defend it? A lot of his units on low hit points.
The Medivacs in the bad spot get taken out here, but we still have the army in the main base.
Banshee comes in here to add some extra DPS, has to pull some SCVs, but again, the push out from Gumiho may be too much for Dream because he has 2 full Medivacs that just have been taken out. It's not with his main army.
The reinforcements at the bottom right are able to clear the drop, and now suddenly we have this huge army of Gumiho moving into the top left.
And now the Marauders try their best to engage. The Raven is good, though, and look at how many siege tanks Gumiho has. He is pushing Dream all the way back to his main base.
And suddenly the third is exposed. He cannot really do anything about it, but Gumiho isn't even moving in. He's trying to end the game right now and right here.
Yeah, here comes the point defense drone assisting against those Marauders. The Hellbats leading the charge. charge, tanking the siege tank fire so that Gumio's tanks can fire.
And all those Banshees are doing such a great job. There's not a lot of anti-air right now for Dream. The Banshees alone are pushing these tanks back. And this is just Gumiho with a monster aggression against the MVP Open.
Yeah, Gumiho is down in Harvesters, but as far as army goes, he is dominant here. He's starting to take out the add-ons on these buildings. Dream is holding on for dear life right now. He can't even deal with the Banshees that are killing his siege tanks.
Dream is down to 75 supply against 90. Once again, more tanks streaming to the top left. Gumiho sieging on at the production facilities of Dream.
Yeah, it's Gumiho. It looks like he may take an early lead for FXOpen here. He's taking out the tech lab, which means no more siege tanks for Dream.
Dream is pulling through, actually. He has the Marauders and he stims in, tanking the shots and taking down the tanks. Suddenly, a lot of the aggression of Gumiho just evaporated, and he's losing even more tanks that are trying to go to the top left. A bit too late.
And the third base is up for Dream now, so that is his trump card here. He has the opportunity to utilize this to great strength, and Gumiho, when you're going for mech, when you lose that entire army, it's so difficult to rebuild, but Dream has the similar problem because he lost his add-ons.
That was really well defended, though. I actually thought that he could not build this off. I looked at this and was like, wow, if he can now put more pressure on the buildings, if he gets a few halberds in there to support these tanks, then it's going to be really difficult. But Dream chose the perfect timing to move out, chose the stim, went in, took down the tanks, and now he's on 3 bases. Gumiho is still ahead in overall supply, but this is getting intense now, Wolf.
Yeah, and I thought for a moment that Dream might be dead. He's going to deny this command center, kills the SCV, forces the cancel, and now he can just leave. Dream's multitasking is really keeping him in this game.
And one of the things that's more important for him is the sensor tower that he has now to the top right to spot when there's another drop play coming in, or those Banshees that actually had a chance to do a bit of damage at the third base but didn't.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Gumiho is building up quite heavily. He has a really strong Banshee count. This is what he used in the last engagement to pick off siege tanks, but now he can use them for harassment, whatever he wants. 2 tanks and 2 Hellbats coming out of time. He also is building up quite the Viking count. His third base is, you know, with that cancel, probably never going to happen. He really just wants to hit this time with his SCVs now and end the game. He had the first attack that was relatively successful. He wants to commit to a second one.
Uh-oh, and these 2 units at the bottom right, they could do a lot of damage. They could take out all of the reinforcements. The siege tank is already gone. The bunker is history, and the main base is open.
Yep, Gumiho is already under fire. He wants to hit a timing against Dream, but he is the one who's attacked first. Vikings on the ground, adding the extra DPS here. Gumiho has to win this fight. He has to end the game here. If he doesn't, it's all over for him.
Where are the siege tanks? There's the Marauder flank trying to come in. We even have the Thor tanking the damage here. Here comes the stim. The Marauder flank, he has to move it, but he doesn't. They are just sitting at the top right.
Yeah, he's so busy microing during his own attack. The Hellbat's taking a lot of damage here at the front. And Gumiho sends Banshees back to defend. There's not a lot of anti-air for Dream's force. He does have those Vikings, but currently deployed in ground mode.
Yeah, and this is one of the big problems that he has to face. And now suddenly there are the Banshees cleaning house, making sure that those structures are not being taken down. But to the top left, we still have the army going strong for Gumiho.
This is such an insane base trade that we have here. The drop is good here. He takes out the siege tank that was at the back. But can he deal with the already sieged up forces? There's even a Thor in there. Gumiho sending his Banshees back. That one base that Dream has is giving him money, but if he doesn't have production facilities, it doesn't matter.
Gumiho is now behind in Harvesters, which means that the army supply is roughly even a slight lead here for Gumiho, as you can see. Actually, he's boosting it up to 50 now with the next production cycle that he just started. But with a good positioning, maybe Dream can pull this off. He still has mining.
But he may lose his medevac here. He boosts it. He gets away at the last second. The Banshees, though, adding a lot of DPS to the Marauders. I don't think Dream can pull through here, but he's trying.
It's so much that Gumiho has here, and he's taking apart the forces of Dream. Even though Dream has another mining base, he will never be able to utilize this money to get another army out.
Dream falling now down to 16 supply, and money is not what he needs. He needs an army. That's it. GG.
Game over. We have a lead now for FXOpen. Gumiho, he's pulling off the win. Dream was close, but it was not enough.
Yeah, no cigar here, and the nine-tailed fox pulls it out with excellent mech play. Those Banshees changed the sphere because when they came back to defend against that attack that was in Gumiho's main, that's what won him the game 100%, because when he sent those Banshees back, there wasn't enough anti-air. He had the production facilities continuing to produce units and barely was able to push it back while continuing the attack.
Yep. Now we of course need a new player for Team MVP, and this is also a chance for us to make you familiar with the new nicknames that a lot of these players have. We had a lot of name changes. Monster chose that his new ID should be Naxor. We have Finale, who changed his nickname into Duck Dog.
Yes.
We have Vampire, who's now called Super, Lure, who call himself now Pillowy, and of course Killer, who chose that his new ID, God knows why, should be Swagger.
Well, I was really happy he wasn't wearing that belt today. I saw him and I was like, well, you're still Swagger, but I noticed that you're missing that belt. For me now, he's just Songho.
Yeah, he's Songho.
I asked him if he was going to come out today, and you were there with me, and he said, maybe.
Yeah,
the
chance that he comes out today is actually really low because apparently he doesn't have his gear with him. So it's not going to be him playing today. We won't see him in the booth unless someone took his gear and brought it to the studio. But yeah, I don't know. You know, for me, you know how Songho always acts, okay?
Yeah.
So, and he had this belt, and with the belt and the new nickname Swagger, he looked a little bit like a pimp to me the last time.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to go for, I think.
What exactly are you trying to accomplish with this idea?
Like,
the entire team is making fun of him. Like the last time, DRG was making joke after joke about it, and this time I was like, "Hey Swagger, how you doing?" And apparently, the first thing that happens, Noblesse is like,
yeah. Last time we were here, I talked to him. I was like, "No, I think your ID, Baby Bye Bye, was much better." Of course, jokingly, because that's a terrible idea as well. And he's like, "Oh, you think so?" Because I was thinking about going back to Baby Bye Bye, but I decided to Swagger. I'm like, "No, I'm joking, Songho. That idea was also terrible." He's trying to when you read out Baby Bye Bye, it sounds weird. It's like, what? Is this like some sort of lullaby or something? But then when you talk to Killer, he's like, "No, it's like, Baby Bye Bye. I don't need you anymore." I'm like, okay, Killer, come on.
all right, but coming to those ideas again, Lure now Billowy, Vampire is calling himself Super, Monster is Naxor, and Finale is a Duck Dog.
And the player choice here is Super. Okay, so it's Vampire. But Vampire has a really weird new haircut. Like, I didn't recognize him, and we were talking. I was looking at your tablet right now, where you've got a bunch of information up there, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, is that really Vampire? Like, new ID, new haircut?
Yeah, it looks a little bit different right now. Vampire, of course, a player that we've seen in the past several times, a strong Protoss player that is now has to deal with a very, very good Terran player, so this is not going to be easy for him. Don't be confused by the name change. He's calling himself now Super. We're going to mention that in the game later on as well, of course. But right now, we're heading again into a 5-minute break before we start with game number 2 here at the GSTL Season 1 2013. MVP is up against Team FXOpen. Gumiho with the first victory for FXO. Can Super, aka Vampire, change things here? We'll find out in 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
You like the sun, cause you burn me out. Ain't no time to waste, already had my taste. I gotta